I am here on Capitol Hill with Senator Richard Shelby, the ranking Republican on the Banking Committee. Just left a meeting with his fellow Republicans on the committee to talk about the next step for the overall financial rules. First of all, Senator Shelby, as always, appreciate the time.
Thank you, Peter.
You know what Senator Dodd did today. He says he's moving forward on Monday with his own bill right now, hoping to incorporate some ideas that he got from Senator Corker and others. Where do we stand right now from your perspective?
Well, we're not sure. We'll have to see what's in the bill. If he's incorporated a lot of our ideas, I have some myself, other members of the committee, both Democrats and Republicans, but I haven't seen the bill. I don't know who has. So it will be interesting to evaluate it and see where it goes and what it does.
There's been this somewhat awkward situation where you've had another member of the panel, Senator Corker from Tennessee, negotiating with Senator Dodd after he said the talks with you essentially he felt weren't going anywhere. Are you back in the driver's seat? Are you now going to be negotiating with Senator Dodd?
Well, if he wants to negotiate, I think he should negotiate with me and any other members of the committee that he feels like he can move a bill forward. You know, we're all senators. On the other hand, we had a good meeting this afternoon. I believe that the Republicans are going to be together on this issue now. If Senator Dodd wants to go it alone, I think it'd be a tough sledding. What I'd like to do is work with Senator Dodd to bring forth a bipartisan bill that's meaningful, substantive, that will make our financial market stronger in the future, have the idea of too big to fail to be gone forever, and things like this. It will be good for our economy. It will be good for the American people. And we could do this, and we could create critical mass to do this, but it takes both sides to do it.
Let me ask you about a couple of issues. As we understood the talks between Senator Corker and Senator Dodd, the idea of a Consumer Financial Protection Agency. You've long opposed a standalone agency. Senator Dodd, the indication we're getting is he's going to be willing to move something within the Federal Reserve. Something you can live with?
Well, the idea of putting it in the Federal Reserve is okay with me, and I have talked to Senator Dodd and Senator Corker, and all of us have, but it was my idea to put some type of prudential regulator, something like a council, the Fed, FDIC, you know, a state banking regulator, the comptroller, and so forth, that the consumer products, if they came out with a rule or something, that rule could be objected to, and they could consider it, of whether or not it would affect safety and soundness.
So there'd be some check on this agency?
Absolutely, a check. And we got to have a check.
All right, let me ask you a separate issue. This idea of too big to fail. There's talk about a fund that large institutions would have to pay into in case one of them ran into trouble. So they'd have to foot the bill as opposed to taxpayers. Pre-funding this fund, something that would be assessed on the industry after the fact. Is this a line in the sand for you?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a line in the sand. I do want to make sure that we do not put in perpetuity anything that would keep bailing out banks, companies, or anything like that. Nothing should be too big to fail.
Pre-funded, is that a mistake, or would you like to see something after the fact if it were to take place at all?
Well, I think that's part of the debate going on now. How do we do this? It's basically like debtor in possession money. Some people think we don't need it, others think we do. Let's see what the Dodd bill says.
All right, let me ask you as well about derivatives. Very complicated subject matter. There's a question about exempting end users, for example. Is this too complicated for the committee to be able to handle? Is it too complicated for Congress to tackle right now?
Oh, I don't think it's too complicated. It is a complicated subject, and it affects so much of our business world. I think if we can in this committee tackle this and probably work it together. But it's going to take Democrats and Republicans to do it. I don't believe one party can do it by themselves.
All right, as you stand here now, do you think there is less of a chance for a bipartisan agreement with Senator Dodd than when you first started talking to him more than a year or so ago, or more of a chance?
Well, you never know. Right now, it doesn't look good, but you never know what will happen in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now. It depends on what's in the bill and how we all vote.
What is your, let me just ask you finally, for Americans out there who wonder how is it Congress could not have responded to the financial crisis, almost 2 years now since Bear Stearns, that nothing's been done so far. What would your response be to Americans, some suggesting perhaps it's Republicans standing in the way?
Well, some people would say we don't need to do anything. I don't buy that. Others would say whatever we do, we better be careful and do it. I do agree with that. And this is a very complicated subject. The worst thing we could do is rush in and do something and rue the day that what we voted on didn't help anybody.
All right. I know you've got a meeting with Treasury Secretary Geithner. Maybe we'll get more news out of that.
We will. It'll be an interesting meeting, and we'll see what he's got to say.
All right. Senator Shelby, as always, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us here on Bloomberg. Senator Richard Shelby of Alabama joining us here on Bloomberg.